My name's Anna Wilson, and I'm a fine liner artist from Ontario, Canada. You may know me because of my intricate fine liner drawings, my giant drafting table, or maybe my cats, which honestly, if you're here for my cats, I am too, so I don't blame you. This is my first long form video ever, and to be honest, I'm nervous. You don't often see me looking at the camera and talking to it. Instead, I'm behind the easel, I'm talking while I'm drawing, but talking straight to you is a little bit different. That's why this video will be a combination of me at my drafting table and also answering your questions. This week, I'm going to be working on extending the limbs of the willow tree and also adding in dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of new leaves to this willow. A drawing this size normally takes between 1 and 3 months to draw, depending on how many leaves and how far I extend the branches to the edges of the paper.
This drawing is based upon one of my favorite willow trees. It's a 30 by 40 inch vertical drawing that will be available at the end of March.
I anticipate that this piece will probably take about maybe 2 more weeks to draw, if I'm being really optimistic, but probably 3 more. I want to talk a little bit about my materials because it's super straightforward. I only use 2 different materials to create these giant drawings, other than occasionally using a pencil, which I don't have a preference for brand. To create my fine liner drawings, I always use Unipin fine liners in sizes 0.05 and 0.03, which are the smallest sizes I believe you can buy of any fine liner pen. My other material, which is very important, is the paper. I use Stonehenge in white. So I always use Stonehenge in white. I prefer to use a 325 gram, whether it's in sheets or in pads or in rolls. You'll see here that sometimes I use the giant roll of paper depending on how big the drawing is. For a 30 by 40 inch drawing, I'll typically use the sheets of paper rather than cutting from the giant roll. And then of course, for smaller pieces, I'll use a pad of paper, which I have in many different sizes, but once again, they are all Stonehenge in white.
The very first thing I do every day when I start drawing is pull on my glove. For this drawing, I will be using a 0.05 fine liner pen. I'm quite picky about my pens, so I could go through anywhere from 10 to 20 pens just for this single drawing. I love the process of drawing these trees. It's slow, but every single day I get to sit down at my easel and draw for 8 hours. If you're here from one of my previous videos, you know that I draw each leaf individually. I start with the outline, and then I fill in each leaf with a little bit of shading, and I go back and forth between the leaves and the bark, depending on where I am in the piece. This keeps my mind really engaged, and I don't lose track of where I am in the tree, because I am using a photo reference for this piece.
I am almost a full-time artist. Not quite though. 2 days a week, I work at my job at a gallery as a marketing coordinator, and I love it. Being an artist can be a solitary or kind of lonely venture. As amazing as it is, it's really nice being able to get out of the house and talk to people once in a while. So 4 to 5 days a week, I'm in my studio, and 1 to 2 days, I'm at the gallery. This here is my studio assistant, Mindy. Panini may make an appearance throughout this video as well, and they keep me company every single day in the studio. They make me so happy, and having a home studio allows me to bring them to work every single day, which is something that I didn't know I was missing when I had a studio outside of the house.
My favorite part of these drawings is all the intricate knots and bark that I get to draw. Each willow tree is so different in the texture of the bark and all of the different directions of the limbs and branches. I rely a lot on the pressure of my pen in order to create this shading. By slowly building up my pressure and also the layers of fine liner pen, I get to get those deep shadows and the really light highlights. When I'm drawing the outlines of my leaves, I'm barely pressing on my fine liner pen and saving that for when I go in with the deeper shading for the bark and then the edges of the leaves. This week in the studio has been really satisfying because I feel like I've reached a point with this drawing where it's really starting to take shape. When I'm spending so long on single drawing, it's really important to have a lot of patience and really enjoy the process, like I've said. Each tree has its own personality and its own history, and my goal is to capture the individuality of these trees in each of my pieces.
I received this easel from family friends. Once I outgrew the original 30 by 40 inch surface, I replaced it with a 4 by 8 foot piece of plywood from Home Depot. This has worked so well for the scale of my drawings. After 9 months of drawing on this new surface, I found that it was warping because I would put pressure on the ends more than the center, where of course there's the most reinforcement. So it was time to call in some help. My partner helped me by installing angle irons on the back of the drafting table. This meant that the plywood no longer warped, and it's held up to this day. It's been 3 years since I changed the surface of my easel out, and it's held up so well since.
I've been working on this new collection of willow trees for about maybe 10 months now. Releasing a new collection of works all at once is totally new to me. I generally release one drawing at a time. And so waiting to release a whole new series of large-scale drawings is a little bit nerve-wracking. When this piece is completed and all framed, I will be pricing it at about $7,000. In the future, if there's enough interest, I'll definitely do a video about my artwork pricing. But in the meantime, I have a short on this topic. This can be found on my channel. I get so many questions about hand cramps and whether my hand or back or neck hurts at the end of the day. The answer is typically no. I'm okay. My hand is okay. And you can see here that I hold my pen a little bit differently too. But I promise you, I'm not having any issues with my grip or hand. You can see how I gently carve out the lines of the bark with my fine liner before filling in each section. I really break down this tree piece by tiny piece. There's so much more to do for finishing this tree, but I've loved every day. Here's where we started at on the Monday. You could see the 2 trees on my easel there. And here we are now. Neither tree is finished, but we're getting there. And I hope that you'll stick around as I finish this piece.
Like we talked about at the beginning of this video, I'm expecting that this drawing will take approximately 2 to 3 more weeks to draw. I know it seems like a long time, and honestly, I received quite a few comments questioning why I spend so long creating, why I spend so long on each of my drawings, and people aren't happy with that. All of you who are artists who spend a little bit longer on your work, it's okay. You're allowed to enjoy the process of creating. The purpose doesn't always have to be a final piece. And I find that the process plus the final piece bring me so much joy, which is completely allowed. You can enjoy the process. For those of you who would like to see how this willow goes, please stay tuned, and I hope to have it finished in the next few weeks. And I'm so grateful for all of you for tuning in to my Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and if you have any questions for my next long form video, please feel free to ask in the comments. Take your time creating and enjoy the process. I'll see you next time.